Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation about fear and anxiety. I just said to the people who were in that you are welcome to write in the chat your questions. I think I feel most comfortable in these rooms when I know that your questions are out there in the chat and I can address everything that you want me to address that has to do with the anxiety, fear, and all that is related. Yeah, so I'm giving here 1 more minute for everybody to log in. I will say to whoever hasn't been here last week that it's a 8-week journey of anxiety. I'm Yulia. I'm 38 years old. I have two kids. I'm from Israel, so for me now it's actually 5 in the morning. So it's a bit rough hour, but it's nice. It's nice to be awake at this time.
May I ask where you're from?
Sorry?
May I ask where you're from?
Yes, of course. I'm from. I was born in Ukraine, and I moved to Israel when I was 8. So since then, I'm here, and I had a long period where I was living in Denmark for 9 years, and came back to Israel 2 years ago. So now I'm in Israel. Yeah, I'm here for you to share your journey with anxiety, and just to be with it together. I will share a little bit from my personal experience from my clinic, and just we can have more tools, more perspective to give to this thing that we're all living with. So give me some hearts if you are here and ready, and we will dive into the conversation. And please write some questions. It will be amazing to know what are you expecting from this hour, what will benefit for you, and you can also ask so we can all hear if that's comfortable for you. Great. I will give you 1 more minute. Penny, thank you for sharing about your journey. So if there are no questions and we're all here, then welcome. I'm really happy to be here. Of course, I also have anxiety, and at 5 in the morning, being here, it's very present. But I, of course, sharing with you already how I deal with it, and that it's just present for me, and I use it for this conversation as a good energy, high level of energy to start with. So we're here to talk about anxiety and fear. Thank you, Tracy, for what you wrote. So if we want to talk about anxiety and fear, I think we should start with talking first about the connection to pain. The mechanism of fear, as I know for the last 8 years that I've been dealing with, it's about pain that we all had when we were younger, or at some point in our life, we suffered some kind of pain, real pain. It can be physical, but it can be emotional. And because we have a perfectly healthy system, body, then our body now, what it's doing, it's to try and prevent from this pain to happen to us again and again and again. So the fear is actually a healthy mechanism that is, when it's feeling some trigger that has to do with some old pain, it will ignite all the protocols that we have in the body to prevent this pain from happening to us again. So the fear is actually not about pain that we're living right now, which can also be possible if we're in real danger. But I'm guessing that most of us that are here now and have anxiety and fear, most of the time, I'm quite sure we're not facing real death or real pain that is happening to us now. So most of the pain we're dealing with, most of the fear we're dealing with is about to prevent a pain from the past. So this is our trigger actually, that the body is in a loop and a constantly feeling of, okay, I'm going to prevent the next time that I'm going to feel hurt or criticized or something that has to do with real pain that we had lived before. So first we want to give ourselves this kind of permission and also recognition that it's a healthy mechanism, that we did had this real pain before. We suffered a lot from all kinds of reasons, and now what the body is trying to do is protect us actually. So if I look at it from a little bit higher perspective, if I look at myself, I'm usually against my mechanism. I will usually have a negative talk to myself. I would usually be going down on myself, feeling, oh, here is my anxiety. I hate it. Why is it happening to me? Why am I so afraid? Why can't I be normal? And why my body is reacting and failing me again and again. So this is exactly what we want to do different. We want to change this perspective in our mind that this is our body is actually a perfectly fine, healthy machine doing exactly what it needs to do. And it's on our side. It's trying to prevent us from getting hurt. But now that we are here, all of us here in the app, we want to have a higher perspective on this situation and having this understanding that no, actually, at this specific time where I'm having this fear trying to prevent me from feeling something bad, this time it's false alarm. Nothing bad is going to happen to me except the fact that I am feeling bad or I am feeling anxious, but real life threat or the same pain I had lived that was triggered, it's not happening to me now. So this is the perspective we're trying to open. We want to have our body on our side from one hand and holding this perspective that nothing bad is going to happen to me for real. So the anxiety is real, but the threat is not. I will stop here just to make sure that you are following me. So you can just raise a hand for questions or give hearts or write on the chat if that was something that you relate to, or you can kind of be connected to this kind of a perspective or look at it from this perspective.
My back feel better than anything else has.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Sorry, that was a mistake.
I think she accidentally had her unmuted. She was talking to somebody else.
Sure, no problem. So questions here about what I just said, about what I was talking about, this perspective of having the thought about preventing pain? Perfect. So,
Wait, can you just repeat it again? Because I just came in.
yes, sure. I was talking about the connection of pain to the fear that is related to anxiety. Because what we're talking here about is fear and anxiety. And in order to talk about fear, I'm opening for us this a gate talking about past pain. So if we had suffered pain in the past, and we all did for so many reasons, then the fear is the mechanism that's trying to prevent us from having pain in the body, from having the same pain again. So when we feel fear and we are in the loop of fear and then anxiety, we want to have a higher perspective about our fear. and telling to ourselves, okay, this mechanism is actually here to prevent me from feeling some kind of pain again. So I'm trying to have my body on my side, remembering that it's on my side, and this mechanism is here to protect me. If I will remember that, I'm already not in the loop of the same anxiety I'm having every day, because I'm holding a higher perspective. And if the fear was actually life-death threat that is happening to me right now, I couldn't hold any high perspective, because all my survival mechanism was now in the fight, flight, freeze mode, meaning that if there was a real danger, I could not hold any perspective. I was just acting in order to protect myself. But because most of us that talk about anxiety and fear, we are not anymore in the same pain or in the same threat that we had that is triggered now, we can all say that we are almost for sure not having any life threat on us. So we can hold this higher perspective, and that will be our first gate into talking with anxiety and fear on a different level, to hold the thought that it's trying to prevent me from pain, and then from this point going next step, and then remembering, okay, so if I'm not having here a threat, I can look at my symptoms. Okay, was that more clear?
Yes,
Not.
thank you.
Mm.
Yeah. Questions, guys? Anyone? Amazing. So the next step for me will be to take this and to understand how is my body reacting to anxiety. So if my protocol was on, meaning that there is some kind of a feeling in alarmness in the body that is trying to prevent me from holding this thought, and I am going through some kind of a event right now, then I want to understand how the mechanism works. So if my alarm system is on, meaning that in the perfect scenario of fight, flight, freeze, I would want to first run away, meaning my body is alarmed. All my senses are here, and I want to run away. But when I cannot run away, I want to fight. And then if I cannot fight, then the next protocol for the body will be to freeze, for all good reasons of not feeling the pain, of not being in this difficult situation in the mind, and just trying to have escape from it in our mind. So when I'm thinking about this mechanism in this way, then when we think about anxiety, when we are not having danger, we need to recognize in our body what happened to this mechanism, what happened to this protocol that didn't really work at the moment when we had the trauma, when we had the pain. So if I had to freeze, then so many parts in my body were freezed. There was no movement in there, and I was very alone. Usually when we had suffered pain and anxiety, the situation is that we were alone with it. There was no grown up, or the situation was so difficult that we didn't have anyone to share. And usually this is where the trauma is developing, when we were alone with it. So if we want to work with the anxiety, we want to first feel the mechanism that we were freezed. And if we all think about our anxiety, you can all take a minute to think about your anxiety. There's always a moment first of something in my body is squeezing. It can be in my chest, it can be my stomach, it can be in my arms. Usually a lot of the big muscles are in a feeling of a squeeze. And if I can recognize that it's happening to me, that actually I'm not breathing and I'm not moving, then we can already feel, okay, here is this squeezing feeling. And what we want to do, we want to, instead of trying to calm ourselves, like for so many times we do, okay, everything is fine, nothing is happening. We actually, for a moment, want to hear this mechanism in our body and say, okay, my body is trying to alarm me something. It's trying to squeeze. So I want to go with it. I'm actually trying to allow the squeeze to happen in my body. So if there was a mechanism in my body that is trying to squeeze, to shrink, to disappear, the first thing I would do as a tool, I would go with this feeling, meaning that if I'm squeezed in my breath, if I'm squeezed in my stomach, I will do it even more. So if now I'm sitting here and talking with you and I'm feeling shortness and breath, or my stomach is actually not so much breathing and not so much moving, I will go with this. I would go with this feeling, and I will try to make it even bigger. So instead of going against it and trying to breathe into it, to let go of it, I'm actually going with my body. That if we had a session, let's say in the clinic and or on a video, then you would see me now doing this kind of a fake squeeze. I want to go in it even more. In this way, I'm signing my guard in the body that is trying to prevent me from pain. Okay, I'm here with you. And where is this squeeze is coming from? If I can guide you for a moment to feel your own squeeze, I even invite you to close your eyes for a moment and just feel or be remembered, or if you have it now, then just try to feel in your body where are the muscles or the parts in your body that are now not in movement, or they are stuck, or something in your body is like stagnated and not moving, and you can feel that this part is like it was just freeze. It can be a long time ago because this part is not moving for years, or it can be exactly now for having the talk about anxiety. So give yourself just a few seconds to feel, just like I'm trying to do for myself now, definitely feeling that my breath is not as deep and my stomach is not as in movement as it should be. So I'll give you just a few minutes to figure out if there's a squeeze in your body. So, and if this feeling is available for you, of course, I invite you to put your hand exactly there and even go more with your feeling of just what we talked now, this feeling that you are not moving. This part doesn't want to move, or it can't move. So just allow yourself to go with this feeling even more. So if your shoulders are a bit tight and up, you take them few centimeters higher. If your stomach is not moving, you squeeze it even more, like the muscles of your stomach. If it's your legs that are not moving, then you even make them more stiff. If it's the muscles of your hands, then you can tighten them up even more and bring them closer to your body. So you're really in this kind of a squeeze. And I want to give you another 30 seconds. And now, if you're looking at this mechanism as a perfectly healthy mechanism trying to prevent pain, then give yourself a moment to feel, why is the body doing that? Why is it good for me to have this feeling of shrinking, squeezing, disappearing, holding? What are you? What can you do when you are like that, in this feeling of tightness? What does it benefit your body? If you already have thoughts, you're welcome to share.
I couldn't unmute. Okay, my thought on this, maybe because I came a little bit late, but I feel like you're trying to have us create anxiety within us right now in the now, when maybe if you could take it from the perspective of, hypothetically speaking, or when you experienced anxiety in such a situation, or have somebody raise their hand to tell you when they feel anxiety, because I'm sitting here and I'm familiar with anxiety and fear and the modalities in which can treat it, and it's just seems a little bit backwards. I hope you're not offended. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from, because we're not hypothetically speaking. You're like, where do you feel anxiety now? We're coming to a class. We're not hoping to feel anxiety now.
For sure, I'm grateful for that you share this. When I'm talking about the squeezing feeling, it's not because I want to create anxiety in the body. It's because it's a healthy mechanism that we all have in some situations when we feel it. And then if we follow this and we squeeze into it, which can happen to us every day in everyday life, the next step, which is following after this, that I give you the time to feel your own body and to remember if you had this or if you are related to it. The next step, which we can move already now, because of course you're saying what you're saying, that the next step will be that now that I felt where I am a little bit short in breath, or a bit, I know my body, so I know that in my shoulders it's happening.
When we're
Then
anxious, that's what happens to our body, because we don't want to be feeling it now. It's not making sense to me. I'm so sorry. It's just causing.
Of course, I totally understand. And I will say that if you follow me now and just have this huge breath, which was following in 1 minute after everybody had felt their body in the sense of not having the anxiety now, but just kind of remembering, because most of us here are in the room, maybe I'm mistaken, but we all know our mechanism. And if we can, the point of this is that if we know our mechanism better, if we have this tool of squeezing and releasing, and the part of releasing I have not yet discussed further, but if we know it, it's a tool that is so available for me, for us, for people coming into the clinic. It just becomes like a magic tool for the future. Because if you have now the sense that maybe just the shoulders are not in place, are a bit squeezed because the conversation is not following exactly what you want or how you felt or how you were expecting, you squeeze a little bit with it. Then the next step is moving with it, is to breathe into it, is to let go. The next feeling that if you trust a little bit, just for a couple of minutes to stay with it, you will feel, usually people feel a huge relief, something that we almost never feel because we don't use that squeeze. Because usually when people are anxious, what people would say, what many times I was told, what people usually feel, they need to calm themselves down really quickly. But if we just have this for a moment, just squeezing a little bit with what the body is doing, and then we release it, then we breathe into it, it becomes an amazing tool for us. So I hope I gave you an answer. For sure, my intention is not to bring any anxiety that is unnecessary. It's just to wake up the small sensation that, okay, I know what she's talking about. When I'm anxious, I know that these parts are more anxious. And then if I just give them the small feeling that I am with it, I'm with my body, in the future scenario, then I can let go. And now what we are doing here in this room, and of course, if it doesn't fit or it doesn't feel right, I totally understand, we can discuss it. But the point is that now, because it's like a little lab that we're trying to work with it together, then it's okay that we touch it slightly, and then we have the tool for us for difficult more situations, for when we are alone. I hope I gave you an answer. I hope it's enough, and you're welcome to stay to feel the next step, which is really to understand the benefit of the squeeze and the benefit of the movement that is following next. Lily, you had a question?
Yes, I've been having trouble sleeping, and then so in the morning when I wake up, I feel a lot of anxiety, and I don't know, maybe it's just my life right now, but I feel it in my stomach. So, are you saying with your exercise to squeeze my stomach?
So first, if you're having troubles to sleep, I would say a few things. First, if we want to navigate your sleep into a better place, because if when you go to sleep with anxiety, you wake up with it, and there's an amazing way of navigating my sleep.
Hello?
Yeah, she disappeared.
I think she got booted.
Yeah, I can hear you.
She's back.
I think she's back.
Hello?
Hello?
Yulia? Yulia, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Is that Yulia?
Hello? Yes, yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Great. Sorry, the connection was bad, so I was dropped from the app. Lily, I was talking about your sleep. So first, I would say navigating your sleep in the sense of breathing in and thinking about your sleep and about the good things that you have in your life, that you are safe. That will be the first step. If you feel that the anxiety is there for you and you feel the squeeze in the stomach, so I am actually in this kind of exercise, in this kind of tool, I am advising that instead of calming your stomach in a way that is almost impossible, you can squeeze it a little bit, just slightly, because the squeeze is what happened when there was some kind of trauma. If you can squeeze the stomach, it's like the squeeze, it's your guard. It's if I squeeze my body and I allow myself to be in this position, it's like I feel more safe. That's the mechanism. Squeezing is feeling more strong. It's a feeling of safety. This is how the body is trying to feel that it's more safe. It's more strong. It's more squeezed and more protected. So if you follow your stomach and you say to yourself, okay, here is my body trying to prevent me from feeling some kind of pain. If you're able to step out of this for a moment, squeeze your stomach, allow this feeling that, okay, here is my body now as a guard.
I
And
think
allow.
I think you mean tighten it, strengthen it, tighten it.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Engage the
Like
muscles.
intense.
That's what
Yes.
she means. Okay, got it.
Tensing up. Yeah. Tensing up, tightening it. Exactly. All these words are more accurate. Thank you for that. So if I allow myself to be in this feeling, I'm not fighting it. I'm actually engaging my body into being more in the feeling of safety, because this is what the body is asking me from, and I want to follow it. Because I know that there is no real danger, I can actually follow it. After a moment of squeezing, I breathe into the squeeze. And when I don't want to squeeze anymore, then I will shake my body. I will let go. The sensation that will follow, that's what I was trying to do when I was doing the small exercise. The sensation most of the time, for most of the clients and for myself, is of a release. Because what it's doing, it's taking us away from the freeze. The release is the movement. So if what you're describing is the squeeze in the stomach and we're trying to prevent it, not feel it, hold it, and then, but what we do instead, we allow it to happen. I go with the body and then I release. I create a little bit of movement in my body. If I created movement in my body, I had changed the story, because it means that if I'm moving now, I'm already not in the same reaction of the trauma, which means freezing. Okay? Was that clear? That makes sense?
Yes, I will try that. I only feel it in the mornings, and I don't go to sleep with anxiety but I haven't been sleeping very well. So when I wake up in the morning, I can feel it. It's like a lot of pain in my stomach.
Yes, so I can definitely recommend that you try to do that. First, of course, if you don't sleep very well, then there's many things that can help you go to sleep better, and then for sure you will wake up a little bit better. But if you are waking up with the anxiety, the first thing you do, you try to take your symptoms with you, to say, here it is. My body is trying to sign me something. Something needs to change. I go with it. I stay with it. As you say, I tighten it a little bit and I let go. I invite you to do that. And I would love to hear next week, if you are coming in, how did it help you?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Alicia, I can hear that. There are some. I will read some questions. Tracy saying, definitely in my heart and stomach area, I can't catch my breath. Okay, thank you so much for sharing that you know where exactly this tightness is happening. I think it will. And Ali, thank you for saying what you just said. And Tracy saying, I feel anxiety always in the same places. Yes. And Alicia, I have heard of this before. Go with the anxiety instead of trying to fight it. Okay, so thank you for sharing about the areas that you feel your anxiety, and this tool. I find it very, very helpful, because I will say that again. If we're working here with anxiety, and we're talking about the freezing and the movement, because this is what happened to us. There was freezing in the movement when we couldn't react to the trauma or to the pain as we should have. So this mechanism is actually working with this mechanism of trying to prevent us from recreating this freeze mode when, of course, in the future, if we're having anxiety. I would love to hear where you want me to take this conversation now and what will help you. And if you're ready to move on, then yes, Tracy?
I liked how you were saying like gate one, or steps or whatever. And if you wouldn't mind sort of, going back over those again. I was going to write them down, but then I wasn't near a pen. Of step one, step two. I mean, even though I've heard some of this before, it would just help to solidify what you're saying.
You're talking about the movement and the tightness and the squeeze. That's what you're talking about?
Yes, all those steps that you just went through, sort of the recognition, and then what you do after that.
Of course.
Thank you.
So I will go through that. So first of all, we are here all because we have anxiety at some point in our life. Anxiety that is related to fear. So what I was saying is, first, to have like a little bit of order of what is happening to me. So first, I want to analyze in my mind that I had before some pain that I had really suffered. It's not that I invented the anxiety. I'm not. I had no. The anxiety has root and is there because of a good reason. So first, I want to understand. Okay, I have anxiety, meaning I have fear, meaning I had before in the past pain. Fear trying to prevent me from having this pain. This is the mechanism of my body. The fear is not because there's real danger, it's because it's preventing me from future danger. And I want to have my own eyes circling around the situation, understanding the situation. Am I in real danger or not? So it's like a reality check. If I'm already just doing that, already the anxiety level is different because I can see, okay, my body is on my side. So first, having the thought that is related to past pain. Second, the fear is here to protect me from having it again. Third, if the fear is here for me, it's waking up the survival system in my mechanism, survival mechanism that trying to fight, flight, or if there is no fight, flight, is freeze. Okay, so the pain is there for me from the past. The fear is trying to prevent me from having it again. And the anxiety, the body reaction is how I deal with all of it. So I'm kind of mapping it in my mind. This step is already a huge help for so many people because it's already kind of analyzing the anxiety, understanding that the body is on my side and nothing bad is happening to me right now. But yes, I go further. Anyway, I feel the symptoms. The symptoms are there for me. The stomach, the breath, like you wrote, all the symptoms that you wrote. Now I want to handle the symptoms. I want to understand that in the protocol of my body, there was some kind of a freeze. The movement was stuck. And I want to understand, okay, I'm now squeezing, I'm now tightening up, and I need to help myself. So I'm going with my body. If my body wants to tighten up, I'm tightening up slightly more. So like Lily was, thank you for sharing, Lily. Like Lily was saying, if it's in my stomach, I tighten it a little bit more. I'm squeezing it a little bit more. I'm holding it a little bit more because it's like creating a feeling of safety in my body. The feeling of safety is to hold it stronger. That's how the body, if you remember your old scenarios on anxiety, when we hold, we feel safer instead of breaking into the anxiety. So we go with it, we hold it, we hold it, we hold it. Just as much as the body is asking for. Because as I said, it's on our side. And now I'm on my own side, trying to feel, okay, here is it happening to me, I go with it. So following the body would be the fourth step, if I am following the numbers. And then what we didn't get to because of the questions that were amazing and in place is the next step will be I let go. Everything I was holding for my body, with my body, now I let go. If you try this now on the couch, this feeling that you like throw your hands and shoulders down, you take a huge breath, and then starts a little bit of movement in my shoulders, in my lower back, in my legs. And just having this feeling of movement is exactly how I do. It's like going into the past, into the pain and into the trauma and changing it at this right moment. Because before in the past, I couldn't react, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. So now I'm actually making a change. The change is in the movement. If I'm able to move, although my anxiety wants me to crawl in bed, if I'm able to make this move, I'm so on top of it. it helps so much. Did I answer your question?
Me, yes, that was perfect. I wrote it down. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for asking. Okay, Lily's writing, anxiety all seems so new to me. I probably had it many times and never named it. I thank you for saying that, because I also experienced that from my own story, from my own anxiety journey. It's something that I didn't give name to it too. So it was just living with me because I thought this is a normal behavior. Now that that you give name to it, it's actually easier to navigate your life to a place that you want to. So if before it was anxiety was controlling me, and maybe in some sense you can relate that it was there for you sometimes it wasn't, maybe it was strong, maybe it was weak, but now that you are on top of it, you have words for it, you have the protocols of what we just discussed, you can actually own it in a better way. Make sense, Lily, for you?
Yes, it does. Because I guess it might have happened. I bet it did. It happened many times throughout my life, but I never dealt with it, and I didn't really realize it might be anxiety. I don't really know, but now that I'm sure I have it, I want to, have a healthy way of dealing with it.
Yes, I encourage you to do so much, because really, when you know it, when you have the tools and they are available for you, it can really change. When you know that your body, the next thing that I want to say, and I will relate to what you're saying, the fact that it wasn't available for you, the knowledge or the understanding that it was there, because in a way you could handle it, you could yet handle it. So it was some kind of suppressed, or all the mechanism was trying to suppress it. Now we want to have the thought, the idea, the perspective that anxiety is actually something in my body that is signing me that something needs to change. That's the sixth point in the protocol that I was just saying. It's to understand that anxiety is also a healthy mechanism in my body, because it's trying to assign me very strongly, knocking very strongly on the door of my body and my mind, that something needs to change. Something in my life, something in my body, something that I'm doing is causing me pain. And if I'm aware, if I can look at the situation in more in a more like an open eye awareness, okay, if I didn't feel it until now, but now I feel it, then it means that my body cannot hold this anymore inside. And when we had our traumas, pain, and whatever we've been going through, we were there alone. So usually anxiety is about the feeling of loneliness. Something about I will handle it on my own, or shame, or I don't want nobody to see me like this. It's related to the fact that when we had our pain, we were alone with it. So the seventh point in the protocol is the fact that if I'm sharing it, if you're here sharing your anxiety, your pain, your tightness, or the body parts that were squeezed or tightened, or what, all that we discussed, if I'm sharing it, I'm already making a huge change. The feeling of loneliness is exactly what we want to change in this scenario. Every time you're sharing your anxiety, you are making a change for yourself. You are changing the story. So, and as I said, to remember that anxiety is a healthy, in some kind of a way, it's a healthy part also in the body, trying to tell us, change something, do something, move towards something. Something is not working, and it feels horrible, but if we hold this thought, it's actually in our favor to do the changing, to do the movement, to tighten with it and let go, to think what is in my life causing me this. If you are here with me and you feel good, safe, and benefiting from the conversation, so you are welcome to give some hearts. If you have questions, please raise your hands, so I know that we are on the same page and that you follow me. Thank you, Ted, Alicia, Kelly, Marie, Tracy. Yes, Ted?
Okay, the first thing I want to know is who was talking, okay? Because honestly, on my app right now, usually there's a ring around it. I don't know who was talking, okay?
It's Yulia. Yulia.
Yes, okay, the facilitator. Yeah,
Yes.
oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going. I mean, is that normal? Okay. I mean, because, or is that something new? Because, I mean, quite frankly, I think it's important to know who's talking. But anyway, could be just something with the app. But,
Yes, in
yeah.
general, you're supposed to see my name on the top, but
Oh, I
maybe
see
there's
you.
some
Yeah, I
glitch.
see you. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Okay. And I
Okay.
thought it was probably you. Yeah.
Mm.
But anyway,
I'm not seeing any circles either.
yeah. So we,
I will move it on to the support, so it will be
yeah,
handled.
because you don't know who's speaking. I mean, and it's like I really didn't know who was speaking. Is if you wanted to actually respond to somebody, it's like who am I responding to? Okay, but anyway, I'll make this quick. No, I mean here's what I would say. I mean, as far as anxiety and stuff like that, um, you know, like you know, myself, I've dealt with it. I mean, throughout with different things. Okay. And I think for most people, and again, I realize there's anxiety and then there's like extreme anxiety. Okay. Where you can't eat, you can't do whatever because whatever it is you're thinking about, whatever it is that's on your mind is just something you can't shake. I get it. Okay. But you know, what I would say to anybody, you know, like, you know, I work in a field where I have to,
Sorry, I
you know,
had bad. I couldn't hear the beginning of your
when-
question. Something is wrong with the app, so if you can repeat what you said from the beginning.
no, all I was going to say is that I mean, you know, myself, okay, I understand what anxiety is, and I have had, you know, but I don't want to minimize what other people here feel, okay, because I'm just saying there have been times where it's been really tough, but at the same time, I know there are people here that have it worse, okay? Especially depending on what they're going through, which I don't know what that is, okay? Probably, you know, but what I would say is I think every person has anxiety, you know, and like I have two daughters, you know, that from time to time I have to kind of like, you know, talk to him, but I have to admit to him, it's like, you know what, some things are not comfortable. I think it's like it's like an extreme discomfort. There's no other way to say it. You're not
Yes.
comfortable, okay? And I, you know, myself, I have to do a lot of, you know, there's a lot of decisions that I have to make in my job and stuff like that, and I also have to get up in front of a lot of people quite often. Okay, some people I know I just from time to time. That's not easy. Okay, you're always glad when it's done. Okay, but I'm just saying, unfortunately, life, you know, and you know, and some of the people who are like myself going through relationship issues. Okay. And unfortunately, if anybody ever walked in here and said I've never had anxiety, I would be like, I'm sorry, I believe you're lying. I'm sorry. It's part of being human. And
Yes.
honestly, I think to a certain extent, I think people like within reason, okay, if you're anxious about something, figure out what it is that you can do to diffuse it. I have things that trigger it. I have things that untrigger it. And I think, honestly, if you can find these things, okay, and they work, you know, and anyway, that's it. I'll yield to the floor. Okay.
Mhm.
So,
Thank you so much for sharing and for your perspective. And that would be amazing to also to pick up from this, because we can have a little bit a small difference between being in anxiety, anxious, and stress. The stress is the part that we all have in our life constantly. And it's actually, we can divide it into good stress and bad stress. Where is this change coming from? Is only from my perspective. If I look at my stress, like this morning, having this conversation, I feel all my body, I feel the heart beating, and I would say, okay, here is my stress. I'm going to use it for this conversation. Let's go play. So my body is in the mind, in my head, in my system, in my hormonal system. It's like I'm in a game. It's an adventure. It's something that I'm taking. The stress is on my side. We all need stress, and we know in sports, in work, in talking in front of people, if it's acting or playing or dancing or talking in front of people in work, we need that stress. It's healthy. It's making us more sharp. Our system is alert, and it's a healthy stress. When we talking about the bad stress, in the sense that we know, when we hear all the time stress and making you sick and all these things that we hear, is because in my mind, which I know very well, I feel, if I'm going to fail this test, I'm going to die. And this is exactly what, when we want to do, this is like an amazing tool to switch just the small perspective in my mind. Yes, I have anxiety. I can squeeze into it. I can tighten it. I can go with it. I can breathe into it. And I'm using it in order to make it to be the best I can. Or if I'm feeling so the perspective is actually a tool to switch from the bad stress into the good stress. And when we're talking about anxiety, this is where we're talking more about trauma and pain that we lived. And now in my body, this feeling of I'm not gonna feel this pain again anymore. If it's physical or emotional, or if it's in a relationship, then the body goes into the mechanism of having anxiety, meaning that I'm not gonna endure this pain. And if we are able to talk with anxiety, to figure out the body is on my side, what is just going on here? Am I actually in real life threat? Because anxiety is the most basic animal feeling of alarmness. The survival system, the fight flight, the very known fight flight, a system that is trying to alarm me, run away. It's a death threat. If I'm able to have a reality check and to say, no, I'm not going to die here, then I'm moving into using it as fuel, as something that I'm using for change. Okay, so thank you, Ted, for taking this to this, to this, for your question, for your perspective. I can see Alona and Lily that have question. Please, let's use 5 minutes to answer your questions.
Yes. I just want to say, I think my anxiety came from a lot from when I was ruminating on certain topic, and just being, because of being uncertain and being froze.
Yes.
Probably my main, it's a main. How it's called, my main problem was low esteem, self-esteem.
Yes.
Yeah, and I became like what I'm gonna do, and just kind of like your body basically goes into this whatever, freezing, or sometimes it's fight and flight. So basically it's like survive.
Exactly. You're so right. And I want to give you this tool of, you feel the freeze, you feel the low self-esteem. You want to first go with the body. What does it want from me to do now? It wants me to hide. Okay, I'm hiding a little bit. I'm squeezing into it. And you say to yourself, even if I'm going to be uncertain, if I'm going to say something wrong, if maybe I'm going to talk in my work and I'm not going to sound the best, or I'm not going to say the right thing, am I going to die from it? Or I can learn from it, or I can move on? Is there people that can support me in this? People that are around me, they can say, even if you're not 100% perfect, and we are not, you are not going to die from it. So having the reality check, yes, I'm freezing, I'm going with it, I'm tightening it a little bit, and then you let go and you say, I am who I am, I can only do my best. All just going through this will already make a huge benefit for you. We have 3 more minutes. I want to say that thank you so much for joining this conversation, and I really like to hear your feedback, if it's good or less, if you thought it should have been different, or if you're happy with what we had. Please leave some feedback for the future. And I see, please, your question.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that just for like everybody, I put something in the chat, just like as my perspective on anxiety and stuff, and I'm definitely praying for y'all.
Thank you so much. It's a huge support for all of us to have this group and being able to share our thoughts, our anxiety, our everything that we feel. And this is exactly to say, just like everybody said here, the good things and the less, it's a very loving circle. So all opinions are welcome. All anxiety is welcome. We all have it a slight different, but we all deal with the mechanism of running away from pain. And we want to embrace it a little bit, embrace our body, to have it on our side, and to change the self-talk. Okay, here it is, my anxiety. I'm here with it. I can handle it. I'm safe in the sense that I'm not gonna die. So I see you have another question, or it was from before?
Sorry, just from before.
Yeah. So I'm just taking this last minute. If you want to put a hand on the part that needs a lot of attention, and just breathe into it, your stomach, your chest, your heart, your head. This conversation can be triggering a little bit, but you are so brave to come in and to be here and to listen. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to talk. If it's not perfect, I did my best. So I hope it was enough. And I encourage you to talk with your anxiety, to do reality check, to tighten up, to let go, to breathe, and to have an amazing night, to sleep well. And I'm here for you next week. And I really want to hear what your thoughts in the chat. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Yulia. Yulia, I guess you pronounce it. So
Yulia
anyway,
is great, and Julia is the same. So.
Thank you so much. I think you did a great job. Okay, so
I'm happy to hear. Thank you so much.